The newest vehicle is here in World of Tanks console, but is it worth your time, and of course, is it worth your money? This is the KPZ-07RH, the tier 8 German medium premium vehicle that is actually very good, and I managed to play a few games last night with this thing, and of course it's been released for literally just over a day when this is published, so there's been a little bit of time to actually have a look at it and of course see whether or not it is actually good. And we managed to play, like I said, a few games, and in those few games we actually managed to have two of the best games that I've had in tier 8 in a very long time. So whether or not that's because this tank is outrageously good, I don't know, maybe it was just lucky, but I definitely have been enjoying this tank, and it is one tank that is very well suited to my own playstyle, and I genuinely think that this is one of the more fun vehicles that I've played in a long time. So straight out the bat, a very good fun vehicle, and of course you're going to see why. It's essentially because of the fact that this damage per minute is very good, but it also has that mobility, it's flexible, it has, you know, everything that you could really want, except from maybe like broken armor. But at the end of the day, as I always say, I would trade armor every single day of the week in World of Tanks if it meant I got everything else, because armor is, in my opinion, probably one of the least useful things in the game, since it's often combated by people just loading premium. So, you know, it's one of those things. But this tank doesn't have a whole lot of armor, can still bounce a few rounds. It has a little bit of a sloped frontal hull armor, but it's not really reliable. But that's not what the tank is about. It's about getting up close and personal, and we'll definitely be seeing that throughout the two replays that we have got. Now within this, so far we've picked up 1500 combined damage, which is pretty good. I mean, you would be fairly happy with a tier 8 game, I guess. You would be content. I'm not going to say you'd be happy, but it wouldn't be the worst game in the world. Of course, we would have picked up a fire for effect with this amount of damage, since the tank only has 1350 hit points, so it doesn't have the most, but it's definitely more than what you would usually need in a medium. Now we do manage to somehow bounce off the back of the Barracuda and then get kind of ruined by the fact that we didn't have enough gun elevation to hit the Barracuda there. But there you go, a nice little pickup, and of course the first enemy taken out within this vehicle. And this was actually the first game that I ever played in it, and it is one of the I mean, it gave the way as to what this tank is actually going to be like, and why I think that this is such a brilliant addition to World of Tanks, as I thought it would be. I mean, I didn't think it would be outrageously overpowered, etc. And I'm not going to say that the tank is outrageously overpowered. I think that that would be a misunderstanding of mine if I did do that. But either way, what you're seeing with this tank is it is high end, very good. Now one thing that this tank is perfect at is going for retracking damage, because remember that this tank has some of the nicest reload for a tier 8, and you can see here we managed to track up the T28 HTC, and there's absolutely nothing he can do. So what do we do with the next guy? Well, we do the exact same thing. We track him, we go for the tracking shell, we manage to set him on fire, and then of course in the very next shell we managed to set him on fire again, having him repaired it in the first one. But there you go. Almost 4,000 combined damage so far, but there is still 6 vehicles left in the game, so it's not all over yet, and it's time to go in for that last bit of damage. And one thing that you'll be noting with this tank is that it is actually very kind of good view range. I mean, you can definitely spot people with this thing. You're seeing me get assistance damage here, and in general very good amount of possibilities that you can use the tank for assistance, and of course going for assistance damage, whether that's by tracks or of course spotting people. I mean, you can see here every single shell that I'm firing with this, I'm trying to go for the tracking shot, because if I can do that I can get more assistance, and of course with the penetration of the AP rounds you can basically get a lot of damage up against these vehicles that we've been seeing. You can see me once again going for the tracking shell, and there you go, already up to 4,900 damage with 1,100 assists pretty much. Managed to hit the GW Panther on the move, and we go again. And this is just exactly what you want at the end of the game, just rinsing the opponent's hit points. And it's time now, having done 5,000 damage and 1,400 assist, to push in and maybe get some more damage before the game ends. And unfortunately we don't do it against the SU-14-1, but we do load a HE round, and one thing that you don't particularly expect with the KPZ 07 RH is that it actually has ridiculous HE rounds, because it has the same penetration as tanks like the RU or the ISU 152. It's on that caliber. I mean, even things like the 268, I think it has the same penetration, 90mm of penetration with its HE rounds, meaning that for the most part any of the lightly armored mediums in the game are going to be a big kind of easy farm, and you do 320 damage I believe with this thing. But there you go, 6,156 damage with 2,500 base experience, 6 enemies destroyed, and 7,500 combined damage in this brand new tank in the first game that we decided to play, and it only lasted 5 minutes and 46 seconds for that battle to start. So an amazing round of World of Tanks. But of course, it was this just first hit and first game, first hit, kind of big win, or is it just a case of, you know, luck essentially? But let's have a look at the next replay and see whether that is the case. Now the next replay that we have is on Kasserine. It's a tier 8 game. This tank, I will say, is predominantly much better if you do play in tier 8. I mean, obviously Eclipse, tanks that are top tier, they're going to perform better, but this tank really does, because the premium rounds are okay. I mean, they're nothing spectacular, and often you'll actually find yourself kind of struggling to pen a lot of the vehicles at tier 10 reliably, which is obviously not what you want from a premium tank. And especially if you're coming up against things like the Centurion AVRE, not managing to pen them can be very dangerous, especially when they can deal 1,400 damage to you and consistently damage you as well. But either way, you're seeing here using the mobility up to 65 kilometers an hour top speed with the base version of the vehicle. Of course, we didn't actually go with any boost that we could for that, and we went with a more camo and spotting build, and the ventilation to be able to just basically be way more all around, and of course go for spotting damage at the same time as real damage. You can see here it's working out quite nicely. It took them a while to actually end up spotting us, and we managed to pick up 800 free damage at the beginning of the game, and essentially not even taking a single hit. But we managed to continue it against the general, and you can see here the Huntsman Centurion, it keeps poking out, and of course not the best idea in the world when you're playing up against someone that's just going to sit there and farm your side armor. Pulling outside on in a Huntsman, yeah, I mean, not a good idea. But with the 53 TP out in the open, and with such a disgustingly small reload, 3.7 seconds there, yeah, we shut him down pretty quick. But there is still a lot of damage left in the game, even if the beginning of the game has gone very well. And I'm just trying to find some easy shells into the opponents. You're seeing there the T-44 on the enemy team, and the Huntsman still being a little bit of a pain over on this flank, so we can't really forget about them. But at the same time, we can't really do a ton to them at this moment in time. And so I think, maybe I'll be able to get some shells onto the KV-5, or maybe this SU-100M1, and we're going for it. And then of course he gets taken out straight away. The Tiger 1 obviously looking our way, and in that time we've actually managed to hit him twice. That's exactly what you want. The KV-5, trying to get a shell on him, not ideal. And of course we missed time firing, so that it didn't end up hitting because of the server delay. But 2,170 damage is not bad, especially considering when you've done zero, well, you've lost 0 hit points, so that's really nice to see. T-44 trying to poke out against us. I mean, we went for the YOLO shot. I wasn't expecting it to hit. It didn't hit. Surprise, surprise. But at this point, yeah, he gets taken out anyway, so it didn't matter at all. And now I'm thinking, maybe I could farm up this Huntsman since the rounds on this vehicle very good. And maybe if we get the backside, we'll be able to use some HE to pen him, because the Centurion's back is well below the 19mm of penetration required, and we go for this strategy. Obviously using the handbrake is ideal. We managed to set him on fire, and then you're seeing me just go for the tracking shell on him, which is obviously what you want to do. If you can do that consistently, it's going to be much better. Trying to go for some shells at this guy, it's not working 100%. We try and avoid that last one, which is fine, but we shut him down pretty quickly after. So just farming up that damage. Of course, if I was being 100% like Little Sweat, I would have just not gone around, and I could have probably farmed him up a little bit better, traded much better, but you know, we don't really care because we know that we were going to win this game, so we might as well actually go for it. And when there's an AT-15 in the game and he's appearing to come our way, then all we have to do is go for that tracking shell if we can manage to get it. And luckily for us, he's aiming at the Canonian Jagdpanzer, and unfortunately for him, he doesn't have a repair kit, allowing us to juicy up his side armor and of course tracking at the same time. And now it's just time to try and go towards this KV-5 with 2 artillery as well left in the game, but we've done 3,711 damage and there's still a little bit left. We actually kind of get a little bit unlucky not to pen the KV-5 considering the fact that we hit him and it was his backside, but you know, it is what it is and we're not going to complain anyway since it was on the move. So if I really wanted that damage, I would have stopped and aimed. But there is still 2 artillery pieces, and in the current meta of World of Tanks, artillery actually have quite a lot of hit points because of the buffs or nerfs or whatever you want to call them that happened to artillery, where they gave them like 3 times more hit points, so that they are 75% the same amount of hit points as the light tanks at the tier. But that allows us to farm them up. So the GW Panther obviously not having particularly that much fun when he's being penned every couple of seconds by HE rounds constantly, but you know, not going to complain too much as we pick up an extra probably 1,000 damage at the end of the game on the 2 artillery pieces. So really nice. And of course we don't have the game that you might expect considering the first game, but I mean, having played 3 games and having 2 games that are over a kind of 1900 base experience, yeah, I mean, this tank is definitely a very good vehicle, and it is one that is probably more prone to players that are more experienced at the game than a brand new player. But if you are experienced at the game, this thing is brilliant, and it is so much fun, which is nice. But of course it does cost gold, and I believe it's 8,000 gold, but it's not as expensive as some of the other new vehicles that you can pick up in the game, so it's probably one of the best value for money considering it's a new premium that Wargaming have released in a while. So that's my review of the Kampfpanzer 07RH, a very good one and definitely one to keep an eye on, especially if you're playing paper vehicles up against those HE rounds, because they certainly will destroy your tank pretty quick. But other than that, I hope you did enjoy, and of course if you want to check out the update news that came out alongside this vehicle, including the operations, then I'll leave a link on screen right now that you can have a look at. And other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, and I hope you join me back in the next video coming soon. Goodbye.